Hello, and welcome to another day of English 2. I'm your online teacher, Miss Abear. Today, we're working on a literary analysis unit. This literary analysis unit comes from our coming of age unit from CommonLit. And as a reminder, the teacher that's in the classroom with you has access to all of these resources on CommonLit's website. So hopefully he or she has printed out a copy of today's lesson for you. But before we get into today's lesson, I want to remind you of our essential question and the essay that we will write at the end of this unit. So our essential question is, what experiences lead us from childhood into adulthood? And the essay that we're going to write will look at your perspective on what it means to come of age and how we become an adult. You're going to use evidence from all of the texts or some of the texts that we've been reading in this unit, as well as your own experiences to support your argument. Today, we are going to prepare to write. And I want you to understand that when you are writing an essay, it's a lot like just having a discussion with someone, talking about a text. But instead of talking person to person, you're talking to a piece of paper. And I know that sounds silly, but it's exactly like that two-sided conversation, but that's one-sided, because you're telling that person about your experiences with that essay or with that topic. And so today, we've got a skill lesson that's on how to have an effective discussion so that when it comes time to writing, you've got all of those thoughts and you've processed through all of the ways in which you can support that argument. So I want you to grab your copy of today's lesson. It will say, referring to evidence from text to support an exchange of ideas, because that's what a discussion is. It's an exchange of ideas. So have this copy in front of you, and let's go through and talk about what you need, the notes that you need to be taking. So I want you first off to, with a partner or by yourself, but probably, no, let's go ahead and do it independently first before you work with a partner. I want you to think about what guidelines we should follow in order to have a strong discussion. So go through and write your responses down on your piece of paper. Okay, guys, you should always come to the discussion prepared. You should have read, studied the required materials. We have done that in class. You should keep your hands down while other students are responding. You should track the speaker with your eyes. You should always respond in complete sentences. You should speak to the group, not to your teacher. You should use a strong voice that is easily heard. Guys, I want to stress this point of using a strong voice. So there are times where you want to use an inside voice, and you want, when you're talking with a partner, you want to talk at a low voice because you don't want everybody to hear you. But when you're talking to the whole class, you need to find that voice way down deep inside of yourself and be able to project so that people in the back can hear what you're saying. And that is a skill that you should learn early on. You should also learn that inside voice. If you haven't learned that one yet, you should practice it, because that is a skill that will take you a long way in life. Lastly, you want to use hand signals to prompt a peer to raise their voice. And this is what we do in my household. So I have 3 children, and they have various degrees of volume of their voice. And sometimes when we're all sitting at the dinner table and you get excited, my youngest will get really loud as she's talking because she's so excited. And one of the things that my husband does is he just kind of takes his hand and puts it above his head and just lowers it down to let her know, bring that volume down. We can all hear you right here. But if you are in a large space and someone in the back cannot hear you, they can do the opposite. they can do this to let you know that you need to raise your voice. And so those hand signals will help. And that will prevent you from raising your hand and saying, hey, I want to say something. And so that hand signal that's a flat palm, up or down, will let your speaker know that it's not that you have something that you want to add to the discussion, but that they need to change their volume. So moving along, let's look at part 2, a sample discussion post. So with a partner, I want you to take on these different roles. You will see there's Anna and Coy. I want you to be, one of you to be Anna and one of you to be Coy, and I want you to have this discussion that is in your packet. And then there are some questions that you're going to write on the right-hand side. What are they discussing? The evidence that supports it. And I want you to do that real quick. I have probably 5 or 6 minutes. You should be able to finish that piece. All right, the next piece of this is referring to text evidence when you are speaking. So having an opinion is one thing, but knowing that you can support your opinion with evidence will always make your opinion and your stance that much stronger. So write these things down on your paper. So how do you invite your peers to refer to text evidence to support their ideas? You can always ask them, where does it say that in the text? You can ask, do you see different or conflicting ideas in the text? If so, where? So I'm not going to read all of these to you, but guys, write down these questions so that when you're having that discussion with your peer, you can ask them for the evidence to support their ideas. These questions you're going to want when you do your peer review, so make sure that you write these down. All right, before you have a class discussion, we're going to write down some key points to the following question. Make sure you find evidence in the text to support your points. So you should have this sheet that says class discussion. And so you want to answer the prompt, how is growing up in today's society similar to and different from what characters experience in this unit's texts? What unique burdens, challenges, and advantages exist for us? So I want you to begin answering that question and prepare for that. And then the next time we come back together, we are going to have a discussion, and it may be in small groups, it may be whole group, but we're going to adhere to the protocols that we talked about at the beginning of today's lesson. So if you would like, or if you have time, take a minute and have some of those discussions with a partner today. That way you are more prepared for that discussion the next time we meet. Until then, happy reading and happy writing and discussing.